Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. So, I am going to give everybody just a few minutes to come into the room. Hopefully, everybody is having a good Tuesday. Everybody is having. Hey, how retarded chick? How are you? Hey, Lavon. Hey, Helena. Helena be on me, y'all. Helena is going to be on me every time. So, hey L2. Hopefully y'all are doing good. Y'all might notice that my lighting is looking a little different tonight. So I broke my freaking light that I use. So I'm using like this little tiny light. I don't know, it looks kind of weird, but yes, you do, Lavon. But hey Valdez. Hey Kung Fu Lee. But yeah, y'all, so that's why I might look a little different. And I'm sitting up here looking for, because the light that I use is actually like for photographers and stuff like that. And it's looking like the bulbs are discontinued. And I'm like, what the heck? So it had me a little frustrated before I came on. But we're going to try to get through this anyway. Hey, Ray. But y'all, so we got so much to talk about tonight. It's been so much going on. I know everybody wants to talk about, the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that doesn't really freaking matter in the scheme of things, in the larger scheme of things. But we over here tend to look at the stuff that actually matters and is more important and what the heck the government is actually doing, not necessarily what people are just tweeting. Okay. Hey Shaka. But okay, all tied up said the lighting looks good. Okay then. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, y'all, it's been so much going on. So of course I have to start with at least a little of the low-hanging fruit first, okay? First of all, let's talk about, so you actually got people out here getting killed over the Popeyes chicken sandwich, okay? They have come back for this second go around with this chicken sandwich. People are literally showing out. Now, okay, it's just chicken, whatever the case may be, whatever. But what I found really interesting, y'all, I was talking about this on Twitter and Instagram today. The level of social engineering that is going on. I don't know if people are really valuing that. Like, I'm really enthralled by the fact that the media could get people to value a sandwich that much. Like, you have to think of, the mind is so fragile. Literally. Hey, Edward. But the mind is so freaking fragile. Not only are you willing to go out here and wait in these long lines, but just placing that much value. I saw a video. Did y'all see the video where the lady literally was like ruining her car, trying to like jump somebody in the drive-through? I'm like, this is levels of craziness. But as the actual branding and marketing techniques that go behind this stuff, this is freaking uncanny and actually kind of amazing if you really just think about it. I don't know. I can't get over it. But I'm sure all of these large corporations and companies aspire to have that much control over consumerism, over the consumer, over the narrative, over what's trending. Everybody aspires to have that much influence, and that's hella influential. I mean, you gotta admit, if nothing else, you gotta admit that. Lavon says he thinks there's drugs in the sandwich. I've been seeing people say that. But I don't know. Eliza said, dude, my husband wanted to try so bad, so we went on Sunday. A man left his baby in the car to get the dang sandwich. Are you serious? And I bet y'all were in there for a long time. How was the sandwich? I haven't had one. I'm just not big on like Popeyes like that. Thank you, Shaka. Said keep up the great work. Thank you. But I'm like, the level of marketing, that is crazy. And while people are down here scrambling for sandwiches, I just imagine the Popeye staff. When you got people, I just don't. When you get to a certain level of like that type of capitalism, I just think that the thinking is totally different. And knowing that you can have that effect for somebody wanting your product like that desperately, you know, kind of regardless of somebody being killed, it has to feel like an accomplishment, I would think. I don't know. That probably sounds kind of crazy how I'm wording it, but I think y'all get what I'm saying, particularly if you've ever sold anything or whatever. Hey, King. Everyone said clearly the sandwiches are reparations. It's not that deep. Really? Hey, Cajun. Lavon said this is why Chick-fil-A is better and classier. Man, it's just the promotion and the marketing. But Chick-fil-A freaking drive-through line is always wrapped around the building. They have really cornered the market for good customer service. I think that's where Chick-fil-A has really been able to have that cutting edge. Is really just their great customer service. You know what I mean? And since all of these other fast food companies are, you go to Burger King, you're still paying $7, $8. You go to Wendy's, you're gonna pay $7, $8 for their chicken sandwich, their chicken meal. You go to Burger King, you're gonna pay $6, $7, $8 for a freaking Whopper meal. So why not get the better customer service if you're going to pay those type of prices anyway? But Helena said, and it still takes 10 minutes any time of the day. I'm out in any 10 minutes. But hey, Kenny. Oh my goodness. Kay Hill said Popeyes near our college campus was robbed today. Please don't tell me it had anything to do with the chicken sandwich. They might have been motivated by the chicken sandwich thing. Like, dang, I know they getting a lot of money right now. So this will be, and then we're going into the Christmas season. So that's crazy. Kay Hill's gonna tell us what they were robbed for. But look, y'all. So your boy Beto O'Rourke dropped out. That is so funny. I think he dropped out like a day after he went on a Breakfast Club or something like that. And then he was talking about basically something he was saying on there. Either this is his time or he was built for this, or like something. And somebody commented because he ended his campaign the next day, and somebody commented and was like, dang, life comes at you fast. I was like, that's crazy, man. He had to know the day before. He knew, but if you're already on this media tour, I mean, you just do what you got to do. You know what I mean? You keep up the image until the next day, and it's like, oh, we didn't have enough money to sustain this campaign or continue. But he pretty much shot himself in the foot when he said he was coming for everybody guns. Anyway, yeah, Beto, do better. Do better. So he's out. One down, a whole bunch to go. Right. I was saying many more to go. So we'll see what happens. He's super awkward to me, man. Hey Tanner, he's super awkward to me too, K Hills. It's like a very Oh no, he just has this like dorkiness about him that is just so funny. I honestly think he will make a great actor. Like I literally think he will make a great actor because there's just something like naturally funny about him. I don't know. It's weird. But I'm like, this is crazy. But so we'll see what happens. I'm glad they're kind of narrowing it down, kind of getting some of the people that are just kind of in the way on out so people can really kind of focus and hone in on more so, actual policy instead of, right now it's really easy to just look at the personalities, the tweets, who comes off more presidential and stuff like that. So hopefully kind of filtering some of these people out, people to look at some of the more important things as we go forward. So we'll see. Tanner said, sad part is that I don't think the gun confiscation stops without Beto O'Rourke. The funny thing is it won't, but I think the way he said it was probably like the most, forthcoming. You know what I mean? Like he just put it out there on a silver platter, like, hell yeah, we're coming to take your guns. I mean, and what are you going to do about it? Like, of course, And I think a lot of people didn't take very well to that. And then that particular clip was just all over the internet. And so, but it's definitely not going to change. I think most of them, if not all of the Democrats, are running on some type of gun confiscation or regulation, more regulations or whatever the case may be. So, so he's out. So we'll see what happens. So Jeffrey Epstein. So y'all know, like I have, and I know other people have as well, kind of been bringing it up here and there. Like, okay, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. People are forgetting about Jeffrey Epstein, this, that, and the other. So this video leaked, I think this was yesterday, from an ABC anchor. And this is super interesting. Most of y'all have probably already seen this video, but we're gonna take a look at this again real quick. Kay Hill said, you white men, I guess she was trying to say the white men in the South love their guns. The crazy part about it is black men in the South not giving up their guns either, but they don't have the monopoly on these conversations in the media. So they aren't pushed in the forefront. Most of the time, unless it's a talking head, who you're going to see talking about, gun control is going to be, women mostly. So, but when it comes to gun control, I never see a platform out in mainstream media for black men talking about guns or gun ownership on any type of massive scale like that. Which is kind of, I don't even want to really say weird, because honestly, we know it fits into the narrative, right? Hey, Boom Boom. But okay, so let's get this pulled up. I don't know why I'm like geeked by this, because it matters, but I don't really know. We don't know if it really matters in like the big scheme of things. Airvoice said March Torre is changing the game. Absolutely. He definitely has a platform. Hopefully he'll be able to get, kind of some of the more black media, liberal media, mainstream media, whatever you want to call it, but get into some of those more diverse audiences or whatever. That would be really cool. But okay. So yes, Killer Mike is a big gun guy too. And I'm surprised he doesn't talk about that more. And I wonder if it has anything to do with him being so directly tied to Bernie Sanders' campaign, because it comes off very conflicting, and some people have actually challenged him about that or whatever. So, that's kind of interesting. But okay, y'all. So let's look at this video real quick. Let me share screen. Let's see. Let's see. All right, let's see. So, thank you, K Hills. All right, let me make sure. All right, y'all can see that. All right, let's see. So this is just the most important part, because it's actually like a 7-minute clip.
For 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us in a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm just so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed, because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
So, y'all, I can literally feel her frustration. And just imagine, a lot of times, I come on here because y'all know I'm the person I'm like looking at the media like, okay, what are y'all doing? What are y'all talking about? Are y'all being fair? Are y'all being balanced? The same thing with the politicians. What you're doing, is it aligning with, what you're saying and what you're presenting on your policy and things like this? And, I can admit I probably don't enough times think about the people who kind of get lost in the cracks of, maybe you have people that want to do their job, want to be fair, want to be balanced. And I can imagine, man, because, I can imagine that kind of like light in a new, like, let's say somebody that's just getting out of school and you're becoming this reporter and you're like, I can't wait to break stories. I can't wait to let the world know what's going on, or I can't wait to be the first one. I did all this research, and then it's like you are in a box because you are under this organization. You have people above you, you have overseers that you have to adhere to, particularly if you want to. Some of these people, just like us, they may be making more money or have more fame or whatever the case may be, but they are working jobs under people. They have people to answer to, particularly with Don Lemon. If y'all remember how Don Lemon, Black people overwhelmingly did not freaking like Don Lemon, particularly around the time of Ferguson and things like this, because of things he was saying and his take on things, and he was getting a lot of backlash. And I slowly saw his whole persona change. It's so crazy, man. And most people don't even remember, but I literally saw his whole persona change right in front of our eyes. That was not a natural transition. That was you getting backlash, you about to be moved back to your Saturday slot unless you give us something that people want to watch. And so that's when you get the, oh, white men are the biggest terror threat to America, even though I'm sleeping with one every night. You see what I'm saying? It's like this, like we have to be able to separate the real from the fake. And believe it or not, as much as I want to like not like these people sometimes I still feel bad because they're literally just doing a job. And we're going to talk about this more, kind of going into the whole Harriet movie and all the blue check gangsters. I'm not going to call them gangsters. All the blue check gatekeepers. I'm not going to call them gatekeepers. All the blue checks coming out, like trying to silence people and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, somebody's telling them, get these Negroes in line, or get, like I just, okay. Anyway, but let me get back to what I was saying. Okay, let's go through this video again because it's some of this stuff I'm going to kind of go through and address specifically.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air.
Okay, so y'all know I've done a couple videos, I think. I've done a couple videos about Jeffrey Epstein. I might have done some lives where I kind of like mentioned him and gave updates and stuff like this. So Virginia Roberts was the victim or alleged victim. Let me try to be, professional, I guess. The alleged victim who basically came out with all this information. She implicated the what's the Max something? She's like the lady pimp. What do they call the lady pimps? She's like the top. What do they call? Y'all know what I'm talking about. But she implicated that lady. And she just had all this information, okay? And so here you have this anchor saying, like, I had freaking direct access to this information.
First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us in a million different ways.
So then they lie. Yeah, Maxwell. Madam. Thank y'all. Yes, that's her name. Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that's how you pronounce it. But she was the madam for Jeffrey Epstein. Like, he was sending her out to get these girls from these different, like, hotels and, all these different, they were working at like, places where you would have like all these prestigious people there, right? But first they tried to discourage her, like, nobody cares about Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody knows Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, I don't give a crap if anybody knows Jeffrey Epstein. Once you start dropping these names of everybody that he's connected to, that's where the public interest is going to be like, we need to know more about this Jeffrey Epstein guy. Okay, so then not only that, once the Prince Andrew name came out and hit the fan, they're looking for all these ways to be like, nah, that's not happening. So do y'all see all these different levels of people at the top? Like, that's not happening. We're not going for that. You better take that off the air, whatever the case may be.
We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything.
Now, so first of all, another thing is, you see when you're working with these people with these different connections, it's like, don't cross my friend, because if you cross my friend, you won't have access to me. Or these people run in circles and cliques. So it's like, you talk about this person, you're going to have a problem with me. So it just gets really, really messy. And the Kate and William. Yeah, I'm saying the right one. Okay. Kate and William to interview them. Y'all know those stories, everything about their wedding, everything was super freaking trending. So they're looking at it probably like, okay, a Jeffrey Epstein story that people are probably going to bury anyway. Is it worth all the money that we will lose? We could possibly lose missing this opportunity to interview Kate and William.
Tried for 3 years to get it on to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm just so pissed right now. Like every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal.
And I'm telling y'all, I can feel her frustration. And then, she said Clinton, right? So we had already talked about this. I gave y'all literally, like, I was going to give y'all a list of names of all the people that had connections to Jeffrey Epstein. And Bill Clinton was on there. He had been on the Lolita Express, which was a private plane, several times, okay? Allegedly. Well, she implicated him. So what I want y'all to think about, you keep noticing she said 3 years ago, I had this information. 3 years ago. It was unreal. 3 years ago. We are in 2019. 3 years ago was 2016. 2016 was an election year. Perfect timing for mainstream media to what? Bury this story. Perfect timing. I mean, it only makes sense. Now take a look at this. So basically, ABC came out and this was their excuse. At the time, not all of our reporting met our standards to air, but we have never stopped investigating the story. Ever since we've had a team on this investigation and substantial resources dedicated to it. That work has led to a 2-hour documentary and a 6-part podcast that will air in the new year. Oh, I bet. How freaking convenient. And then here goes Amy. As a journalist, as the Epstein story continued to unfold last summer, I was caught in a private moment of frustration. I was upset that an important interview I had conducted with Virginia Roberts didn't air because we could not obtain sufficient corroborating evidence to meet ABC's editorial standards about her allegations. When do y'all ever find and obtain sufficient corroborating evidence? Come on now. I mean, let's just keep it real and consistent. The freaking Russia narrative, these people will get on TV and call people, accuse them of being Russian bots with no recourse. Nobody cares. We talked about Russia for how many years with how much corroborating evidence? Like this to me, this is BS. We know all the time we have people peddling, I don't even want to say like conspiracy theories, but just a lot of conjecture, a lot of, well, the story is still basically developing. And they don't even really say that anymore, but they present stories. I mean, even if you want to think about something as like the Jussie Smollett thing, story broke, people ran with it. No investigative journalism. I'm a freaking YouTuber. And even I was like, now, didn't Kamala Harris just have this lynching bill that came out and blah, 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 blah? And I was putting that 2 and 2 together just from the research I was doing on my own about the election and, the people running and this and the other. And I hadn't heard not one person on the TV. So it's no questions. It's no, this is the developing story. There were people literally on TV. And if I remember correctly, on ABC scolding people, talking about, this is just a white supremacist incident and we can't let this happen and people ought to be ashamed of themselves and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, y'all don't have all the facts. Like, so to me, I don't know. This just doesn't cut it. Y'all want to pick and choose when you have sufficient corroborating evidence. You could have broke the story as, this is an alleged victim. This is the information we have. Blah, 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 blah. We're still developing this story. We will let you, man. So, I don't know. To me, it's a cop-out. Like, it's a total cop-out. I feel bad for her because she's kind of caught, in this or whatever. Thank you, Kenny. Kenny said, just making a small contribution to great content. But I'm like, so do y'all run with stories or do y'all not run with stories? Like, what's really going on? Pick a side. Stop using this excuse when it's convenient. You know what I mean? When it's convenient for you. And now all of a sudden, y'all want to be these upstanding, award-winning, Nobel Pulitzer Prize winning journalists. Like, you're right. Like, get the heck out of here. You know what I mean? Journalism has been on a downward slope, fair, non-biased. Journalism has been on a downhill slope for years now. Okay? So you're not fooling us, ABC. You're not freaking fooling us. But I just really hope that, like, this Jeff Epstein thing, like, literally seriously gets looked into, but it's just so many people implicated, as in being, like, involved with Jeffrey Epstein, having these ties to him and things like this, that, I don't know, we'll have to see what'll happen, but it's kind of very frustrating to, kind of watch as people, like, get away with BS because of their connections and stuff like this. And that's why it was so detrimental for ABC to do that freaking story in the first place. But Levon said journalism died when the information age came about. Right. And it's just getting worse and worse. Like, just the standards for journalism. Air Force said, what standards exactly? So apparently now all of a sudden they have some, like, you're right. But thank you, Thomas. But so we'll see. Y'all know I've been kind of keeping my eye on any new information that comes out with the Jeffrey Epstein thing. So let's get into this Harriet movie. I'm just gonna kind of like talk about what I've been seeing and why I think it's kind of interesting, and it's just kind of funny to me, man, because it mirrors what's happening in politics, and it mirrors the fakeness of, like, social media and the outrage culture and the council culture and the blue checks on social media, Twitter, and all this or whatever. So let me start by the record for saying that I did not go see Harriet. I do not particularly have plans to go see Harriet. For y'all who are familiar with my lives, I believe that I don't particularly have a problem with slave movies within themselves. My problem that I take is that I feel like there is no balance in media. And I believe oftentimes media is propaganda. And I always say there is a reason why there are so many slave movies, but you don't have movies that reflect other times in Black American history or other storylines beyond the master slave relationship. Like, do y'all get what I'm saying? Like, even if you did a story around slavery time that could even just be focused on the family or the community or something like that, if that makes sense. So I'm just not like a huge fan. I'm just kind of over it, because to me at this point it's just the same, and it's just, I feel like the market is oversaturated with that type of movie, that narrative, and I'm really tired of it. So I had no plans on seeing it. But anyway, nonetheless, you had a lot of people who are not feeling the storyline, okay? They're not feeling it. There are people that watched, you had a bounty hunter that was Black. Supposedly he was supposed to be the villain in the story, so a lot of people didn't take kindly to that. You also had people that felt like the movie had a white savior complex because something, and people didn't take kindly to that. But anyway, more importantly, what I want to focus on, because art is art. Art is supposed to be critiqued. People have the freedom to like or not like, see or not see, buy or not buy, support or not support. So I don't really care about that. But I think it's funny as ever the way the blue checks are coming out to catch everybody that's not feeling this movie, man. It's crazy. All right, so let's take a look at this. First of all, I'm going to show y'all how this has been written about and kind of like catch y'all up on this. So, all right. So here are some tweets. They were like, y'all, they really made up a Black man bounty hunter who almost kills Harriet Tubman in the movie. A white slave master kills his Black man to protect Harriet. They completely made this ish up out of thin air. Do not support the Harriet movie. Harriet's first husband felt slighted after her quest for freedom. There were already complexities in her life with Black men, but to make up some BS about a Black male bounty hunter in the 1800s who is killed by a white racist who is compelled to save Harriet, what the F? All right, so this person basically just goes on to say, yes, the movie is worthy of criticism. There weren't really that many Black bounty hunters during this time. There was not any Black bounty hunters in the story of Harriet, but yet they made her the antagonist, made him the Black bounty hunter, the antagonist, and all of this. But this is basically trying to prop people to still go see the movie and support the movie. Now, this article, so this is from News One, but this is also from News One. And I find this so funny, y'all, because this movie has nothing to do with Trump, but they tie the movie to Trump in this article, which I found freaking hilarious. And I'm going to tell you even more so why I found it hilarious. Hey, Black introvert. So somebody said, why the Harriet controversies should have you terrified about the 2020 election. So Let's see. It said, as stated above, there are some very real, very pertinent reasons to criticize Harriet, not at the least of which being the cast of Cynthia Erivo, I guess is how you spell her name. Initially, the controversy started over the fact that many people felt basically Black Americans should play Harriet, but the concerns were compounded with her past comments about African Americans. So this just goes on to talk about this. But however, a new firestorm of controversy started over a series of posts spread across social media stating that the main protagonist of the movie was a fictionalized character, Bigger Long, a Black bounty hunter hired by a slave owner to track down Tubman. This is a choice that is definitely worth interrogating, especially in the light of the fact that these Black bounty hunters were extremely rare, if they even existed at all. That compounded with a reportedly limited display of white folks committing acts of violence against Black people in the movie offers to let white racial violence off the hook. But the tweets claiming that Long is the main villain or there is a white savior narrative are patently false. If you do a quick Twitter search, you'll see that the fans' descriptions of the movie largely come from Twitter accounts that have either started in recent months or have very few followers, signs that they are either white people posing as Black folks or trolls used to incite racial tension. I've told y'all, man, these people do not think Black people can think for themselves. Anytime, I'm telling y'all, any single time you have a group of Black people that go against the mainstream narrative, every single time they're going to be bots, Russian bots, white people pretending to be Black. They did this same thing. They didn't believe it was no freaking way that people couldn't like Hillary. It was no freaking way that people could post these different things about her online. It had to be Russia inspired. Russia was tricking all the Black people with the $4,000 they put into Facebook ads. Even when the ADOS movement first started getting their little buzz, you had Joy Reid and Roland Martin, all these people, they're bots. They're not real. It's not possible for Black people in the real world to think different from me, the talking head Black person. This is what they'll have you to believe, right? This is so insulting, man. If you really think about it, it's actually insulting because it insinuates that Black people have to be led constantly and our opinions are a monolith and they cannot divert from the mainstream narrative without some bastardized, very like evil intent. You can't just not like the movie. You can't critique it just on the storyline. It has to be white people are putting you up to this or you're trolling. That's insulting. That's insulting. And you're going to see, I'm going to show y'all in a second, all the blue check marks coming out, basically parroting this and basically being very hostile to people that took a problem or took offense with this film. But let's keep reading. So they brought up Tariq Nasheed in the article. I want to say low-hanging fruit, but he's basically known, okay? Some people, I don't know, might look at him as like an agitator or something. I don't know. So they choose him to tie this to like, oh, we can pin this on him to make it look like he's rallying people up to feel this way and blah, blah, blah. All right. So Then it said there are the calls to boycott the movie in solidarity with Byron Allen's fight against Comcast and its discriminatory practices. We're going to talk about that. Focus Film is owned by Comcast, so boycotting Harriet is apparently now a cause to take up, despite the fact Allen's legal fight started in 2015, blah, blah, blah. But look, what's scary is that so many people are falling for these ploys, despite the fact the movie opened to a promising 12 million weekend. I can't tell you how many Facebook posts and tweets I've seen echoing these made-up storylines. It's the same tactics that were used and largely succeeded in 2014 after Ferguson and 2016 to help elect Donald Trump. How the heck you didn't attach this to this man? How? The fear mongering is so real, man. You are trying to discredit people's opinions so much that you will tie it to a completely unrelated topic. And let me tell y'all how that works, okay? We are living in an age that has turned words into triggers. So now all of a sudden, that one word can discredit everything you say. And for the people, so Helena said, what is ADOS? So for the people in the room that don't know, ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slavery, okay? So y'all gonna have to do a little research to kind of go into it, but it's a movement. They say they're not a movement. I don't know. I don't want to speak on the behalf of ADOS. That's not what I'm doing. So I don't want to misconstrue how they present themselves, okay? But it's a movement / lineage to basically represent Black people and their unique experience in American history and kind of separate it from, Africans and Caribbeans and stuff like this, okay? So anyway, so these trigger words, right? We live in an era where if somebody, especially these blue chicks, these media personalities, they throw these trigger words at you, so it's like a freaking monkey wrench, okay? And it completely terminates, discredits anything you said before. So trigger words: Donald Trump, misogyny, Russian bot, Russian asset, okay? Russian bot. They freaking did that to Tulsi Gabbard. Instead of trying to address anything she said, they knew because of a public opinion. And this is part of the social engineering, y'all. This is literally a part of the social engineering, because we start to hear these buzzwords, and for some people, it's like their brains just shut off once you say one of these words, right? Homophobic, transphobic, and it's like people just, I don't know. It's like the what's that movie where he holds the light? Men in Black holds a light in front of their eyes, and it's like, wait, what? Because it's like once you say these words, people just lose it. They lose focus. They freak out. They don't want anything to do with these words. And I'm like, but are you hearing anything else? I don't know. It's just a very odd, awkward, generation, y'all. But anyway, so they completely tied this to Donald Trump. And the funny part about that is that the same people who have promoted and upheld cancel culture and outrage culture, now that it's coming back to bite them in the butt, they are in a freaking frenzy. They can't handle it. Yet, with anybody else, I guarantee you, if you go back and check some of these blue check marks, they've tried to cancel Kanye, they've tried to cancel Dove, Gucci, whatever, without any nuances, maybe trying to understand, maybe trying to separate the person from the art or anything. You know, this is not really an argument about whether these companies deserve to be canceled or whatever the case may be, but I am literally talking about the fact of them always willing on the forefront, taking a charge for upholding outrage culture. But now when it comes to bite you in the butt, now you're trying to do the Heisman. You're trying to you're trying to throw the spotlight off you and make it seem like it's something that is not. No, y'all were cool with outrage culture. Now ride it out. Ride it out. And I've told y'all, at this channel, I tell y'all, when you support something or you're for something or you're down for the cause, you have to be forward thinking. Anything that goes to anybody else's door is coming for you every single time. If you take anything else from my channel, anything, please take that. People, I'm so against hate speech. I'm so against this. I'm so against that. I'm down for outrage culture. I'm this and I'm that. Until it comes to your front doorstep. So we have to be forward thinking. We have to think of the pros and the cons of the things we support, because now that it's affecting these blue checks, they don't know what the heck to do. They're over here going crazy. Teray, the main villain, is a white slave owner. He saves her from the evil black bounty hunter so that he can capture and torture her, not because he wants to liberate her. I'm sorry the film wasn't enough of a documentary for you. Then they try to say little slick stuff like that to try to, make you feel bad. Like, dude, it's literally supposed to be about this woman's life. It doesn't have to be a freaking autobiography. Okay, but you want to make it as close to historically close as possible. And you cannot get mad at people for holding you to that. Do I think it was problematic to have a black bounty hunter villain? No, it makes sense to have black traitors getting in the way of liberation. But was Harriet Tubman's story about that though? Because honestly, if not, y'all could have just made up another slave story, another narrative. Brittany Cooper, but Casey Lemons, and look, they pulling out all the stops, man. They pulling out all the stops. Now the black people complaining about the movie. Now you're about to be the white supremacist. You're about to be the misogynist. So now, look, but Casey Lemons is an African-American woman director in a world where black women directors rarely get to make feature-length films. I don't know how to say this lady's name, needs a better analysis, but black folks shouldn't boycott this film because of it. Also, y'all hard AF on black women. Like, okay, most black critics did not respond to X in that way. They certainly weren't calling for boycotts for its invented characters, erasure of black women, and historical inaccuracies. And I responded to him. I actually responded. I said, do you know why they didn't call Malcolm X out at this same level? Do you know why? And if I remember correctly, I think some people did. But do you know why I wasn't at this same level? It's because outrage culture is getting more and more progressive every year. And all these blue check people have upheld that. So now you can't turn around because people are picking apart everything now. Everything. So you can't participate in outrage culture and now be mad when it comes for you. No, y'all was riding this wave. Keep riding it. Now you need to answer to these people who have critiques about this movie. It's always cool when the outrage culture is on the other end of the spectrum, right? Like, these people are so fake. They're so fake to me, because if anybody else had made this movie and you had all these black people being outraged, they would have been right in line. Right in line. So I just hate the fakeness, man. And then here go old Roland Martin with his rude self, be cussing people loud. So a black woman directed Harriet, a black woman produced it, a black woman stars in it. It has taken decades to make the movie, but I'm supposed to roll with not my Harriet. Hell to the no. Like, and then they back you in this corner and use your blackness as you can't critique anything. It's the same. This is so political, man. Y'all have to see the connection. I've talked about this. They did the same thing with Kamala Harris. If something is black and is mainstream, black people cannot question it, because black people are supposed to be a monolith. We're supposed to write the mainstream. We are not supposed to critique black people. We're not supposed to find fault with anything that black people do. I mean, I don't really care. Like, I don't really, I don't care about the movie. I didn't plan on going to see it, whatever. And I don't really care that people are going to see it. But people can critique a movie. Like, and if anything, you got Ebro, you got Talib Kweli, coming out. Now everybody's bots, ADOS funded by the Nazis. You know what I mean? More trigger words, anti-immigrant, anti-black. It ain't fun when the rabbit got the gun. So this is what I be trying to get people to see, like, from both ends of the spectrum. People be so quick to throw out trigger words when you want to reject somebody's opinions, but now it's coming back to you. So hopefully this should be a great learning lesson to because if y'all can see how these blue checks will do this and completely discredit real people, like that says a lot. And for them to come out in full force like this, y'all, it was the same thing how they rallied around Kamala Harris. This is so freaking political. Y'all gotta understand this. And in some sorts, these people are gatekeepers. They are riled up to diffuse anytime black people start to deviate from the line that we're supposed to toe. Then you have all these people coming out. Get back in line. Let's be real. That's what it is. That's what it is. So honestly, this to me is deeper than the movie. It's deeper than the movie for me. I'm watching in real time how these media personalities think that they have a monopoly on blackness. And to me, that's offensive. It's offensive. Whether it comes to entertainment, to politics, this is how they do. They think they speak for all black people. And like, people gotta see it. Y'all gotta recognize that. It's the same way. It's the same freaking way with the politics, man. It's the same way. You have these blue checks coming out. They're so hypocritical. So freaking hypocritical. Valdez said there's a growing dissatisfaction around casting Black America is downtrodden. I can't speak for everyone, but I was born a winner. And like Valdez, like, people have been asking, like, okay, we want more stories. And this is my thing. y'all know, for the most part, I think, like I've already said, most times this stuff is straight up propaganda anyway. And I feel like that's why they were able to make this story in a way that's not tied to what's on record. And even to continue to produce, I think the Harriet Tubman story is an important story. So I do want to put that out there. I do think it's an important story. I do think it's worthy of being told, but these slave movies back to back, I personally believe is freaking propaganda, because it creates a certain type of a mindset. We know, I told y'all like how deep this entertainment game goes, particularly for Black people and particularly for women. Very high in consumption of like entertainment, TV, advertising, things like this. And most times entertainment is just propaganda. So it brings you to question what's more important, representation or like, no representation, if it's going to be inaccurate or stereotypical. I personally say no representation. So I always try to encourage people, like, entertainment is just supposed to be entertainment. Unfortunately, it's not like that. And that's why you have people that are able to get upset about this movie, because they understand how these messages work, how people perceive them, how we internalize the things we watch and we take in and things like that. So, heck yeah, Helena. She said CIA is working hard in Hollywood. I was talking about that today. It's this guy named Edward Bernays. I don't know if y'all ever heard of him, but he is basically like the father of propaganda. Like, literally the founding father of propaganda. He worked with big companies to politicians to, I think he worked with the CIA, the government, doing propaganda, trying to figure out how to sell ideas and social engineering. I think he was very hands-on with the trying to figure out how to get women to start smoking during the at the beginning of the feminist movement and things like this. So, we have to be real about what these messages are. Honestly, of it. TV, movies, social media, it's propaganda trying to tell you something, an idea or something. This. So I say I want to be represented. I still have to. We need screw representation if it's going to be inaccurate and stereotypical. Screw representation if it's going to have people viewing you a certain way. Like, I don't know. So, I mean, those are my thoughts on it. But to see the blue checks over these last 2 years, man, they've been, man, oh my goodness. It's crazy, man. And they come full force. Roland Martin on there. Y'all so idiotic. And who else talk to their viewers like that, man? It's just, boy, I tell you, man. These blue checks just been showing out. And it should tell you, honestly, this kind of war and friction between the mainstream media and the people should tell you that most people are in a new level of awareness. Most people are looking, I don't want to say most people, but a lot of people are looking for something new and something different. And there's like a rebirthing that's happening, and people just not feeling the old stuff anymore on a lot of levels. Political, when it comes to entertainment, media, people just not feeling it anymore or whatever. But all right, y'all. So last thing. So let's briefly talk about this Byron Allen thing. I got a little headache. Byron Allen thing. So Byron Allen, the guy that owns the Weather Channel, he's like a millionaire, possibly. I think he's a billionaire. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think he is. But owns the Weather Channel, extremely successful. And okay, I thought so, a billionaire. And the company that owns the Harriet movie, I don't want to say it because I'm not even gonna say it right. But anyway, so Byron Allen is going to there's a Supreme Court case that is coming up, and it is going to challenge the Civil Rights Act of 1866, I think. 1866. But so basically, Byron Allen was trying to get Comcast to pick up some of his networks, and they would not. They refused, even though he's being carried on with other cable networks. And so he took them to court. He won in Ninth Circuit Court. Well, Comcast decides, screw that, we'll take you to the Supreme Court. So technically, he's already won this lawsuit, but now they're going to go to the Supreme Court basically to challenge the Civil Rights Act of 1866. So the Civil Rights Act of 1866 was basically a precursor to the civil rights movement that gave Black people an equal footing in contracting, fair contracting, getting jobs, getting government contracts, getting commercial contracts, and things like this. So exactly. Harold said the fact that Comcast wants to challenge this just because Byron won. This to me is so wrong. It's so he already won, and Comcast decides to go to the Supreme Court. So we know, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show y'all how some people are so their perception, and they can be so hypocritical. We know Comcast, for lack of terms, be on some BS. Okay, we know it. Okay, Comcast in a lot of ways is no different than Facebook. Make it different. Okay, with their programming, with the way they lock people out, with these huge monopolies and cornering these markets, very much so like Facebook. Even so much so, you've had Donald Trump come out saying things against Comcast. But now all of a sudden, Donald Trump's administration, his Department of Justice, is going to team up with Comcast to take another look at the civil rights of 1866. This is what we're looking at. This is what we're talking about, y'all. So 1866. Okay, that was the right thing. Now, I was trying to like kind of get a better understanding of what was going on with this thing, this lawsuit. And I'm like, how is he going to prove that this was racial discrimination, the reason he was locked out of this contract? But he had already won the case in the Ninth Circuit already. But Comcast is like, you know what? Instead of just taking this L, moving on, now we want to, because this case can really set a precedent going forward. I hope people understand how this literally sets a precedent. And before you try to feel some type of way, like I said, Comcast is literally one of those companies that tries to lock people out. There have literally been cities that have created like motions to challenge the monopolies in their cities from Comcast. So like, let's not act like Comcast doesn't do shady stuff. So even on that alone, it really makes me think about it's kind of almost like the Apple Play Store, and then you have Android, right? And most people have Apple phones and most people have Android phones. And so imagine you coming up with this app, and Android lets you have the app on their phone, no problem. And you go to Apple and they refuse to meet with you. They refuse to put your app on there. And you're thinking, this literally, first of all, why? And this literally cuts me off from a whole sector of potential customers. And you know, Apple and Android have a corner on the market, but you would go as far as to lock me out from so many people and that money potential. And then he's actually had, and I don't want to mess up the quote, but he said somebody at Comcast, Byron Allen says, we don't want to make another, dang, who did he say? It's a very successful, another successful Black man. But he said somebody at Comcast actually said that to him, right? So now in the Supreme Court, what they're going to try to do is change the but-for standard. And it's basically to say, okay, can you prove that this was all the way racism, or was it just a little bit of racism? Because if it was just a little bit of racism, then technically you don't deserve this lawsuit. You don't deserve this money. You don't deserve to get into the market. Exactly. Harold said if Comcast wins, a burden of proof to show discrimination will be impossible. It will effectively undermine the Civil Rights Act. And that's what I was basically saying, where that but-for standard comes in or whatever. Bob Johnson, thank you. That's who I was trying to think of. I could not think tonight or whatever. But so just a little reminder, and I'm gonna tell you why I think this is. But let's see. Let me show y'all these, because I just want you to not forget. But let's see. So basically, I already told y'all like about. Oh yes, let me remember this part. So the funny part about it was back in like 2010, when they were originally going through some of this, the Comcast basically went around paying people to make it look like the NAACP, Al Sharpton. Now, you know, if Al Sharpton is in the midst, you probably need to give a little side eye, okay? But Comcast was trying so hard to lock this man out. And this is what they do. They pit people that say It's the same thing with the blue checks, right? You say you sold for this, you sold for the people, but when you get when you get put to the test, it never measures up. So you got people like the NAACP and Al Sharpton sitting up here basically taking hush money, literally taking hush money, like, oh, Comcast ain't racist, they paying me. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Like, why try to stand in the way of this man lawsuit and letting him get some type of get into this market? Like, just craziness or whatever. And it was something else. But now it's crazy because now the NAACP is going to be on Byron Allen, speaking on his behalf, going into the Supreme Court case. So I'm like, did y'all think, oh, we're the freaking NAACP, this is a civil rights case, maybe we could be standing on the wrong side of history? I don't know. But man, it's just been really crazy. But let's just never forget, okay? I mean, let's just never forget. This is from Donald Trump. American Cable Association has big problems with Comcast. They say that Comcast routinely violates antitrust laws. These guys are acting much worse and have much more potential for damage to consumers than anything AT&T, Time Warner would do. Oh, violating antitrust laws. So business laws, merger laws, and things of that sort. Even talked about his plan to break up AT&T. And I'm gonna tell y'all why I find this so telling and interesting in a second.
As an example of the power structure I'm fighting, AT&T is buying Time Warner and thus CNN, a deal we will not approve in my administration because it's too much concentration of power in the hands of too few. Likewise, Amazon, which through its ownership controls the Washington Post, should be paying massive taxes, but it's not paying. And it's a very unfair playing field. And you see what that's happening and what that's doing to department stores all over the country. Very, very unfair. And you're talking about billions and billions of dollars. They should be paying those taxes. Additionally, Comcast's purchase of NBC concentrates far too much power in one massive entity that is trying to tell the voters what to think and what to do. Deals like this destroy democracy.
So y'all kind of like get what's going on there. But my thing is, if Trump has had these bouts with Comcast, you know how shady Comcast is. You know that Comcast is basically a monopoly, trying to corner this market, trying to kick people out. Why would you then turn around and let William Barr is going to speak for 10 minutes at this Supreme Court case out of the 30 minutes that Comcast has to basically represent their case? Like, so, like, what's really going on here? To me, like, that's problematic. It's like, and it reminds me a lot of the Facebook thing. And this is why I connected this with Facebook, because I did a video recently about how Mark Zuckerberg was trying to snuggle up to Republicans now, right? Now that your company is about to be broken up, now that you know that breaking Facebook up is a bipartisan issue, now all of a sudden you want to snuggle up to Republicans because you know they are more likely to possibly be in favor of or work with these larger companies, these larger corporations, because we know Democrats will be ready to break something up in a second. So now you want to snuggle up to them. And honestly, I feel like with this Comcast thing, it's the same freaking exact thing. Comcast was like, okay, bam, you know what? We'll snuggle up with the Department of Justice, and Byron Allen will show you. So Kaden said, I used to work for Comcast in Jacksonville, and when they bought NBC, they all became a-holes. I can see it. I can see it. And that's why I said, to me, this is very akin to the Facebook thing. And anybody that try to make it different, you really need to check your perception and your biases. Even if not, even to for them to lose this in a Ninth Circuit, and now you are trying to discredit and undermine the Civil Rights Act of 1866 that you know allows people to. We're not talking about some freaking mom and pop store down the freaking street. I mean, whatever. But literally, when you have these higher these big corporations and companies like the Facebooks, like the Comcast, and even if we weren't talking about Byron Allen, but literally every day you have companies being knocked out. Look at how YouTube and WhatsApp and Facebook undermines people that are trying to move up, trying to come up, trying to get a share in the market and stuff like that. And for people to try to come up is the freaking American way. And so if you can't see that, like, I don't know. But we know, we're smart enough to know Comcast be on some BS, just like Facebook. And when you have Trump saying himself, yeah, Comcast, y'all basically be on some BS. We're going to have to take a look and see if we need to break you up. So I'm the type of person, I'm like, keep that same energy. Like, what's the problem? Comcast has had allegedly antitrust law violations. So I agree, Electric B. I agree a lot of these companies, because honestly, it's like when you get to a certain point, it's a disservice. It's a disservice for the American people, because not only can regular people not break into these markets, but you have to look at the subpar services we're receiving as well. We are basically being, in some ways, restricted to the services of these platforms because they're the biggest platforms. They're sucking up the freaking market. They are doing shady things to stop people from getting into these these markets. I think I mentioned to y'all like a couple months back, it was some guy that was either trying to do an app or something. It was like he was trying to something, but Facebook or somebody was like, nah, we ain't having it. Nope. And he was suing them. So this stuff happens, man. This stuff happens. And for them to use this as a way to attack the Civil Rights Act of 1866, like, how you gonna do that? How? And people have to think like big. You have to think big. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Absolutely. Well, I ain't said bottom line, the media wants to control the populace. Absolutely. And they do it all the time. From the networks to the talking heads, they're literally trying to control every aspect of our life. It's social engineering on like at every turn. And it's really unfortunate. So y'all know I'm gonna be watching this Supreme Court case to see how it plays out. I will be keeping my eye on it to see, but I don't know right now from the angle that I'm looking at it from, because we don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know what the Supreme Court is gonna do. But the fact that they're giving, the Trump administration like 10 minutes to talk, to me, that's where it starts to like, okay, what y'all really trying to do? But otherwise, we don't know what the Supreme Court is going to do yet. So I'm going to keep my eye on it, see what happens. But it was Comcast that has moved this to the Supreme Court. So I don't know. But this could possibly, shift some things. So we'll see. But thank you, Valdez. So that's it for tonight, y'all. I'm going to keep my eye on Jeff Epstein thing and keep my eye on the Supreme Court case. I think it happens on November 13th, if I'm not mistaken, which is not far from now at all. And so I'll be updating y'all to let y'all know my thoughts and everything like that. And then I always be, these blue checks, honey, they something else with themselves. But so we'll see what happens. But thank y'all so much for the super chats. Thank y'all to everybody that joined me tonight. Hopefully I will be doing some more content. Hey Tiger. Hopefully I would be doing some more content this week. I actually want to do, because I watched that Byron Allen Breakfast Club interview, and it was something in there, y'all, that he said that he did that I found so freaking hypocritical. And I didn't put it in my video tonight because when I showed a clip, they like try to demonetize my whole video or whatever. So I might do a video about it. It was just funny. It was just funny to me. So I have to show y'all what I'm talking about if I decide to do it. But anyway, all right, y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with me every Tuesday, and we'll be talking soon. Y'all have a good night. Bye.